Welcome back to my Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. Should we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where yet again I am taking the day off from doing Happy in Paradise. Mainly it's because I need to build a backlog of recording, and and I said it basically all before yesterday. It's just like I need to build a backlog of recording videos, and I just didn't really feel up to it this weekend. So we're going to just be doing another casual sort of talk about whatever episode. I hadn't noticed there's now snow on the ground in Animal Crossing, so I guess this marks the first day of winter in Fawnhollow, at least for this year, obviously, not the first winter, ever. We've had quite a few of those. But what can we talk about today? Oh, actually, there's actually a cool thing I can talk. Well, it's not that cool, but anyway, we'll get into it. Hello, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 4:15 p.m. on Sunday, December 11th, 2022. Seasonal topic, and you've got snowflakes around. Yes, so ages ago, it was actually, it must have been just after at Black Friday or so, about weekend, I said I bought some stuff from Amazon. Actually, there's another thing I need to do, so I need to, I'm going to put my, just dropped my phone. I'll put my phone here to remind me, but there's something else I need to do, but after this episode. But I bought on Amazon some things, and one of them being the a monitor arm for my graphics tablet, because I was talking to my friend and that sort of thing, being like, it's, I don't really have much space on my desk for like an entire drawing tablet and a keyboard and that sort of thing, so it's becoming very annoying to try and do things. And then talking about them, they were just like, maybe you should get like a monitor arm, and I was like, oh yeah, it's probably a good idea. And so on Black Friday I actually picked one up, and I just haven't been able to assemble it until today because I've just been incredibly busy. But this weekend or this morning, and woke up, I was like, let's do something practical. Actually, I was going to do it last evening, and I was like, no, it's like 10 p.m. I'm not going to do it now, even though I remembered it now, because it was a lot more complicated when I recorded. It's not just a simple stand, the actual like default stand which came with this thing where you just like screw it on and that's it, bada bing, bada boom. No, this part is assembly with instructions. I've got to figure out exactly where to put it and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's just like a basic monitor arm. It's nothing particularly fancy, I'm not going to lie, but it does have a lot of range of movement, which I've set up for my drawing tablet. So now my drawing tablet is sort of like a flex thing. I can use it as a third monitor, which I'm currently using as. So I've shifted around my my setup a little bit more. So now I'm recentered back on this monitor, and my center monitor is the main monitor. My drawing tablet is just to the side. But then when I want to draw, instead of using it as a tablet, I can pull it down and then just, draw on it. That was kind of a point. And it's got a lot of movement, this monitor arm, which is pretty good because I do need that. But one downside I would say for the monitor arm is not due to the monitor arm itself, it's more due to the layout of my desk. Is the fact my layout of a desk doesn't have many good places to clamp a monitor stand onto, because I was originally going to do it at the back of my desk. My desk is like a Tetris L block shape, is probably what I describe it, except for the inner part of the L block is curved, is how I describe it. So I wanted to do it on the outer edge of an L block shape. So I sit in the curve. So the outer edge to me is the two edges furthest away from me. The problem is that underneath, I see you stopped being cornerman now as well. I've also got nothing to give you apparently. So the outer edge of my desk has like, underneath it has like these panels on the bottom of the desk on the underside. So it's not a desk that you could like crawl all the way through. You'd hit a wall. You'd hit those two walls. The things, they're close enough to the edge that there's not enough of a lip for like this monitor arm tablet to actually like grab onto in the first place. And they have a little thing in the monitor arm sort of box of a setup in assembly instructions, where like if you have problems clamping stuff to the desk, you can use a wooden block and clamp to it. Except it doesn't work on that side because of those two sides, because there's still the wall there. Like even if I had a wooden block to like just out a little bit, then I'm still going to run into problems unless I have a wooden block just out a lot. So it basically can't fit there. So I was like, I could try and put it on the other sides, but the two closest, like, non-curved sides. The thing is, the non-curved sides also have, like, a railing, I suppose, underneath, where the desk is, like, holding itself up and that sort of thing, which is not really a problem most of the time, but it means the lip is, it means the clamp can go on a little bit further here because, the part which goes underneath the table can now stick, instead of being like stuck against a wall, it can now stick into it a little bit. But the problem is on the left side, there's like no good angle for the drawing tablet. It could work, I could do it on the left side, but then like the only way for the drawing tablet to go would be to hang off my desk, which seems dangerous. But on the right side, it is more doable. But I have my chest of drawers there, and if I move the chest of drawers, and it's sort of like it's a bit iffy. So I've actually got it clamped on the same side I'm sitting on the inside thing, on the inside of it. And I was just trying it out because I was just like, if this doesn't work, then I'll just clamp it on the right side using a wooden block as well, and then it'll be fine. It actually works kind of mostly fine, I would say. It's not optimal, I would say, certainly. Like, optimally, I would like it on the other side. But I just can't swing that with my desk, right, with the current desk I'm using right now. Maybe if I change my desk, maybe if I get a different clamp, maybe if I get a different setup, it would make more sense. But in the future, of course, if I set up my computer, I'm going to keep that in mind, because I think it makes more sense for... oh, Phoebe's out and about. I don't know why I even tried to enter her house, to be honest. I'll try and keep that in mind. But now it does mean... Excuse me. It does mean that I have now more space on my desk. I have now space underneath my drawing tablet, because it is quite secure. It seems like this tablet, like, I've made sure everything was screwed in perfectly tightly to make sure this does not drop, because this is an expensive tablet. Don't want that to drop. But I've now got space underneath it, so, you know, my Steam controller can now fit under there. My Stream Deck can now sort of fit under the tablet as well. My mouse and keyboard, I tested it. I haven't actually tried drawing with the tablet on the stand yet, but I will probably be trying that later today if I have time. If not, then maybe some other time. I don't really know. But like, I've provisionally put things into position, and it's nice to have a keyboard under that. I can't see the keyboard, but it's fine. I can, you know, basically touch type anyway, so it's not really that big an issue. And I can have my mouse under there instead of having like my mouse and the keyboard all the way off to one side, making things very awkward for when I'm trying to navigate things on my computer. So yeah, this was a worthwhile addition, I think. The only downside is it doesn't quite have the synergistic assembly required of my desk to properly work. No, my colourful shovel! It's been ages actually since we customised it, because honestly I've kind of forgot about the fact. If you don't know, in this game, if you customise your tools, it actually resets to durability, so that's how you let them last indefinitely. Except for not for golden tools, if I recall, because golden tools don't can't be customised, maybe? I'm not really sure if that's true or not. At some point I should make one just to see, but I don't think I can. But we need to get another shovel anyway. And you might be like, why don't you just make a shovel? And I'm like, I've got all these bells like floating around. I can afford to buy a shovel, so I'll just buy a shovel. It's not my colourful shovel, so it's that outdoorsy one, so I'll just buy it till it breaks. I'm still surprised that they've never put in an update for New Horizons to expand the store, so you can get like you can buy all the types of tools like at once or something, or more furniture items. But so be it. What else was I going to say? We might as well clear out our inventory a little bit first. The Joy-Con drift and these are crazy. I should have probably bought a Joy-Con in Cyber Monday or whatever, but whatever. Not really that important to me right now. So I've got this monitor arm set up. You might be like, how difficult was it to assemble? It's not that difficult. Right, to be honest, I don't find the assembly things for like furniture all that crazy difficult, but other people seem to might too. But that might just be due to my personality of like, I'm very much not the type who's like, okay, you know, I think I know what I'm doing, I'm just going to wing it. I'm very much, you know, like, read the instructions first, make sure I've got all the pieces, make sure I know what the pieces are, and then assemble it. And you might be like, why would you do that? That takes so much time. It doesn't take that much time. And in my mind, it's sort of, it gives me, you know, one, peace of mind that I know what I'm doing. You know, I can understand what I'm doing before I properly do something. And two, it just makes things smoother. You know, I put in the time now to, you know, not have to improvise and miss out stuff later. Because, you know, I will say probably about 50% of the time, if you do something like being like, oh, you know, I've got a general idea of what's going on, you'll probably get it right. Let's be real. Or like, and then like 80% of the time you'll get it right enough. But that 20% of the time when you get things wrong and you're like, oh no, I had to undo a load of my progress to start all over again to reassemble things, is annoying enough that I'm just like, I'm going to take the time out at the beginning just to know what I'm doing and then assemble it. Because it's the sort of thing where people are just like, oh, you know, assembling furniture, IKEA stuff is insanely difficult and whatnot. To me, it's like, it's fiddly, I suppose, to a certain sense, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's like that difficult. It's just more like you have to just follow his instructions exactly, and if you don't follow the instructions, then you're going to run into trouble. And I don't mean that to be in a disparaging way, like, ooh, look how amazing I am, I can assemble IKEA furniture. One, because that's probably like the worst brag in existence, but two, it's just sort of like, it depends how you like to work, really. You know, some people like to much more experimental about how they work, they like to try things, see how it works, and then like work it out together, work it out by piecing, quite literally putting the mental pieces, I suppose, together. Well, me, I'm just here, I'm going to execute instructions, but bing, boom, 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 done. And that might not surprise you, especially with the attitude I take towards baking as well, because people are quite often not like, baking is really difficult. Well, to me, I'm not going to say I'm like an amazing baker, but I'd say at least I'm a good baker. I can bake things, I can bake cakes, I can bake desserts and treats and that sort of thing. You might ask what quantifies a good baker, and that's, to be fair, up to debate. But, you know, I'd say I have a good technical baking and cooking skill set. I don't know like all these recipes off the top of my head or anything, but I just can do them. And a lot of it's just it's what I say to everyone, like, who's like, oh, you know, I'm terrible at baking. It's like, oh, you can do it, you know. It's just literally just following instructions. And that's what baking is. It's just literally you have to follow the instructions basically to the T. You just find a good recipe, just execute it exactly how it's there, and then it will probably work out for you. Not to say that there isn't, you know, like, hidden knowledge that you need to know with baking and that sort of thing. Like, you know, if you don't know what folding, like, a mixture is, you might be too rough and aggressive with it and, like, knock out all the air bubbles or whatever you got going on, things like that. Or you might overwork a mixture because you don't know what hard or soft peaks are. But, you know, those are things that you can very much learn. You know, it's the same thing with, like, assembly instructions and baking instructions. You just follow the recipe. I will say, you know, well, baking instructions can often, and cooking instructions can often be quite overly verbose, especially with the modern era of recipes, where you are very much you're very much like finding recipes, or people are trying to sort of like game the SEO system, sort of find put as many words in as possible to get themselves tagged and relevant. You have like long stories, you know, on these blogs or whatever. Actually, now I think about it, it's not only for SEO, it's probably also because they want you to stay on the page for longer to see more adverts, more money, makes sense. So while on the one hand baking and cooking instructions and recipes can be quite overly verbose, quite like annoyingly too much, assembly instructions or furniture items can often be a little bit like too little, right? You know, a lot of the times it's sort of just like, here's a picture, it goes like this, it goes like this. There's no words a lot of time, which is fair enough because they want to make them sort of like globally understandable. I'd imagine in a lot of cases the only things you'll see are probably like numbers. Which I wonder if they translate the numbers for, you know, countries which don't use Arabic numerals, but who knows. Yeah, so yeah, but the diagrams are often very much just sort of like illustrative rather than using, you know, words or whatever, and we're not always the best, we're not always the clearest thing in the world, but I feel like there's a lot of like sort of reasonable guesstimation that you can do with them, which I suppose is sort of like inherent to the part of the experience clause, I suppose, of the experience clause of learning how to assemble these furniture pieces together in the first place is the fact that you'll, you know, this is how it works. You'll put the pieces together by following the image instructions, and then you sort of like do your best guess. Always the most confusing thing, I think, when doing like these furniture assembly things is figuring out which screw is which, because a lot of times there'll be a lot of similar screws. But to be fair, I feel like nowadays especially they make great efforts to. Oh yeah, did we find our recipe? I'm not sure if we found the island recipe today. Oh, sorry, the main recipe today. But I'd imagine that a lot of design process goes into these sort of assembly instructions and the assembly kits and what have you to make sure that people don't get confused. Because I noticed in this assembly arm, this monitor arm, where I was assembling, is there were like quite a few screws, to be fair. But the most notable ones, or two of them were like the two important ones, they had two different types of screw heads in the first place to try and differentiate. One of them was that you need an Allen key, and the other was a Phillips head. If you don't know what those are, Allen key is like that hexagonal hole, and a Phillips head is an X-shaped hole. To really sort of just differentiate, like, you know, it's not the sort of thing that people think about. No one accepts two different types of screws and two different types of screw head and be like, whoa, that's crazy. They just screw it in. But, you know, I don't necessarily know if it's true, but I feel like it must be true. Like, the screws aren't fundamentally all that different with a different screw head. It's not like every single Allen key screw in here could have probably be interchanged with a screwdriver screw. The exception being that maybe you get better like leverage with an Allen key, so you can tighten it a little bit tighter than with a screwdriver. But I don't know. Maybe the argument can go with that there aren't a different way, or like people use electric screwdrivers and screwdrivers in the first place, so it doesn't really matter if they're going to get the same amount of tightness. I'm not a mechanical, is that even a mechanical engineer? I'm not really sure. I guess that would be a mechanical engineer's sort of jurisdiction, but I don't really know if one is particularly better than the other for a screw, but fundamentally they feel like they're quite interchangeable, you know, screw head types. But it does a very good thing for the people assembling it, is that they definitely know which the screw they're using is right. Because if they use like two different types of Phillips head screw, being like one's like 5mm and the other's like 7mm or something, you'd be like, whoa, which one's which? I don't know. Excuse me. But by having one be like an Allen key head and one be a Phillips head, you're like, okay, these two are very distinctly different screws, so, you know, this must be that one and this must be that one, you know. It just, I don't know if that's necessarily how it works, but I imagine a lot of thought goes into these sort of assembly kit and instructions to try and make them as user-friendly as possible. Because contrary to popular belief, or like what recurrent jokes would have you understand, is that, you know, they want you to be able to assemble these furniture items. They want you to be able to be like, hey, yeah, this is what's going on. I know how to do this. Because if you couldn't, then that would kind of suck, and you know, I suppose you get quite a bad reputation for your product. So anyway, I assembled this. There's not many moving pieces. I feel like it's reasonably secure. But there's still a little bit of a wibble. A wibble. But I think that's the sort of price you had to pay to have a little bit of a wibble to make sure that you can actually sort of like pivot things on the hinges. If you didn't want things to be wibble, then I guess you'd buy like literally just like a concrete block, which is not very flexible, I suppose, of the ways you can move it. So it's a give and take. I haven't tried drawing on it. I tested drawing on it a little bit. There is a little bit of give, but I feel like I just hold it, like just casually cradle it in the corner a little bit. It should be okay. I don't know necessarily yet if it's better or worse, because, you know, obviously if I had a physical stand, it doesn't move in the slightest. Hopefully it's not because I've set this up wrong. I feel like the only thing it could be is it could be my desk has a bit of flex into it, which doesn't matter. But, you know, when you have a giant monitor arm, which is like 5 kilograms or something, and a very like steadfast clamp onto it, you can start to see when it bends a little bit. But I think most of the wibble wobble is probably in the actual stand itself, because it's spring loaded. But it's not that bad, I'd say. At least not bad enough for me to notice it particularly yet. But it's been useful having it as a third screen. You know, I was, you know, playing a game on one screen, playing a different game on another screen, you know, watching a video on the other screen. I won't always need 3 screens. Like right now, currently my third graphics tablet screen is literally just Northern 9 stream, which is obviously not playing muted at the moment. Excuse me. Let me have a sip of water as well. Didn't actually have a sip of water, I just blew my nose, to be honest. It is a winter season after all, you know, you get a little bit of congestion. Whoa, I was like, what is that? I have a Wikipedia, I haven't seen that for ages. You get a little bit of congestion, stuffy nose, and makes it hard to, you know, be able to talk properly, to a certain degree. But yeah, so yeah, I set up this monitor arm, hopefully it's fine. Hopefully the wibble wobble is not too bad. I'm shaking it right now. It's still wobbling a little bit. I don't really know if there's any way to stop that, because I feel it's not the screws. I can't imagine the screws could be on any tighter. I really tightened them in quite tight. I think all that gives him the stand itself, but it should be fine. I guess a wibble wobble is not something that was considered as much in the monitor stand, because this was probably just for computer monitors rather than drawing monitors in the first place. So, you know, it's not like computer monitors need to be exactly still. Well, it's not like you lean against computer monitors all the time, but drawing monitors you kind of do. Well, not lean against, not lean against, like push against, I suppose. Well, a small amount of force, I suppose, to actually draw. But, you know, I'll give you an update, I suppose, when I actually give it a whirl and see how it goes. For now, we're going to just clear up the rest of these flowers, and yeah. So yeah, I guess this is like assembly instructions. That'll probably be what this episode's called. I don't really know. Whoa, spoilers, it was a Bluey episode this entire time. Are you saying you based an entire episode on the episode Flat Pack, which is, you know, one of your favourite episodes? Maybe. I didn't actually, I'm going to be honest. I kind of forgot about the whole Bluey bit for like the past week, but I was meant to keep that going for as long as I could, and apparently it was not very long, because I immediately forgot about it afterwards. But, oh my god, the Joy-Con drift. Let me just leave my furniture items in peace. There should be like a way to lock your island so you can't accidentally pick things up and pick things down. I guess I should be using the shovel to clean up the holes, because as I understand it, it doesn't change your durability when you do it, but whatever. So yeah, we'll yeah, I guess we'll round off this episode here. So new monitor arm, new drawing tablet stuff set up. It's all great. It's all good. So for now, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.